Are you ready for Doom Eternal? For the most action-packed, spine-ripping, spleen-crushing, throat-punching adventure known to man. Are you ready to face the hordes of hell and drive them back with nothing but a shotgun, a chainsaw, and your own bare hands?
No.
Are you a bad enough dude to save the planet from the forces of darkness? To walk through hellfire and punch God in the face?
Yeah, hey, I think there might have been a mistake. I was supposed to be in line for Animal Crossing.
An unstoppable evil has taken over the universe, and now you have to fight back with the biggest gun you've ever seen by shooting a whole damn planet right in its stupid face.
Tom Nook now owns an island, and you can, like, design the island. I'm still waiting for the museum to open, but I, just caught a spider to give to the guy at the museum, so I'm pretty happy about that. I was looking around online, it looks like they're kind of rare.
Now featuring over 100 unique glory kills where you can rip out a demon's eye and make them eat it for lunch.
You can now use the stick as a pole vault to help you get over rivers, so that way you don't have to worry about building a bridge or anything. You can just get right over there, immediately. It's kind of cool.
Really?
Yeah.
That actually sounds pretty cool. Can we play that when we're done talking about Doom?
Yeah, okay. Here's our review of Doom Eternal.
4 years ago, id Software revived their Doom franchise in a game that went on to be one of the best reboots in video game history. The action was intense, the speed was jaw-dropping, and the tone and the attitude was perfectly on point. And now, after all those years of waiting, we've finally gotten the sequel, Doom Eternal. Did it build upon and improve everything from the first game, or did it rip and tear everything down? Well, let's start by taking a look at the story. Doom Eternal begins with you diving directly into the fiery pits of hell. Then you finish signing into your Bethesda.net account and you can start the game. Set some time after the last Doom game, the forces of hell have now moved from Mars over to Earth, and yeah, things aren't looking too good. But the Doomslayer is here to clean up this town, and along the way, he'll go on a trip down memory lane as we learn more about the origin of the Doomslayer, about how he became the unstoppable killing machine that he is, and how this all connects back to the previous games. At least, you'll get all that if you stop to read all the documents you find along the way, because dear God, there are a lot of documents along the way, and this game doesn't explain anything to you outside of them. Don't get me wrong, there was a lot of data logs in the last game, but Doom Eternal has a Dark Souls level of lore dump, and in the last game, I feel like you could have ignored most of the data logs you found, and you would still have been exposed to most of the story just through the actual gameplay. Here, they will stop the whole game to shove your face directly into the story without telling you what you need to know to understand the story until about 5 hours later in an optional document. Don't get me wrong, I know this isn't important for most people, but even if you're just here for the ripping and tearing, you're still going to find yourself saying, wait, I'm sorry, what was that last thing that you just said? I'm not going to lie, I had to look around the internet to see if there was a prequel comic to this game, because there is so much that happened in between Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal that either wasn't explained or happened off screen. It's a little bit jarring. Seriously, who is this guy? Why am I talking to him? What the hell did he just give me? And now he's talking about a heart and giving me a knife and what? Do I need to rekindle a bonfire at any point in here? Okay. Listen, I had to get that stuff about the story out of the way because it is a bit of a surprise, but let's be real. The story is not the main appeal of this game. It's the combat, it's the action. That's what made Doom 2016 such a success, and this game went bigger and crazier, which sometimes feels brilliant, and other times feels like a problem.
I would like to take this moment to let everyone know I actually did enjoy this game. This game is great, and I'm about to praise the crap out of it. But we do actually have to address some of these issues right here at the start of the review because, as I said, the action in this game is bigger and crazier and more intense than ever, and this game will make that known to you almost immediately.
Now, you might be wondering how going bigger could be a problem. Well, because in my opinion, Doom 2016's combat was kind of perfect. It was an intense experience, but the pacing of attacks and the number of enemies were brilliantly paced out so that way you could go nuts, but still have a certain level of strategy to what you needed to attack and where you needed to jump and when you needed to dodge. But here, yes, there is still a strategy to everything, but with the number of enemies increasing and feeling way more aggressive, honestly, the best way I can describe it is madness. Just pure, unadulterated madness. I have never uttered the phrase, "What is hitting me?" so many times in my life. I played this game on medium difficulty, and yet I still died on certain levels more times than I died throughout the entirety of Doom 2016. However, as the game goes on, you do slowly get used to the increased intensity of the action. Maybe it's because the more I upgraded my stats, the better chance I had at survival. Maybe it was the better the weapons I got, the more I could fight back. But honestly, I think it was just after getting my ass kicked so many times, I finally got used to the new intensity. Looking back on it now, it's actually kind of funny how I went from, oh my god, this is just insane, to, oh no, I get it, this is actually really smart. And it is smart. There actually is a crazy balance to this combat. In Doom 2016, you had to go through levels, blasting everything away, but if you got low on health or ammo, you could do a glory kill on a weakened enemy to not only get a crazy cinematic kill, but also a few resource drops to top you off. And this was great because there was a balance between shoot, 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 dodge, kill, shoot, kill, oops, low on health, let me do a glory kill, and we're good. But in Doom Eternal, yes, you still get health from glory kills, but now you get armor from something called a flame belch, which engulfs your enemies in flames and honestly sounds oddly soothing? Yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but it kind of reminds me of the sound of popcorn popping. It's surprisingly relaxing. I mean, nothing in this game is relaxing, but you get my point. And if you start getting low on ammo, then you can refill that by using your chainsaw to make the enemies explode into a Skittles commercial. And this was a feature in the last game as well, but honestly, I almost never used the chainsaw in the last game, because in Doom 2016, you would need to find fuel to make the chainsaw work, and I was always paranoid that if I kept using the chainsaw, I wouldn't have fuel for when I really needed it. But in Doom Eternal, you can stock up on fuel, so that way you can get 3 charges out of the chainsaw, and when you have 3 charges, you can use it to instantly kill a larger enemy, but when you only have 1 charge, you can only kill the small common demons. But here's the thing. In Doom Eternal, the chainsaw will constantly refill 1 charge over time, so you will always have 1 use out of it, and you'll always be able to refill your ammo if you need to. How thoughtful of them! Isn't that nice? No, wait. Not nice. What's the word? Oh, right. Necessary. Yeah, remember that balance I mentioned in this game? It is in full effect from the moment you hit the ground with almost 0 room for error. Enemies hit harder and faster, so you need to get those glory kills so you can get your health back. Ammo is scarcer than it's ever been, so you will need to whip that chainsaw out to recharge. And even if you glory kill everything, you'll still see your life dropping in the blink of an eye from just a few hits, so you better remember to spray that flamethrower to get that armor for some instant relief, which, by the way, I almost never actually used, because between the flame belch, your big wheel of weapons, your freeze bombs, grenades, chainsaw, and chargeable super punch, there is so much to keep track of in this game. But don't be confused. That's not a complaint, that's a compliment. From the outside, this game looks like mindless carnage. But when you're actually in there, you realize how much more strategy this game requires. And it doesn't just stop at your resources. In the last game, the famous line from the developers was, if the enemy has a head, it has a weak spot. Yeah, not here. Most of the bigger enemies actually have weak spots that you need specific weapons to focus on. So in addition to blood-sucking hordes that are trying to overrun you, suddenly a big flowing eyeball will appear and you'll need to switch over to your sticky bombs to hit in its mouth, so that way you can stun, so you can run up and do a glory kill, so you can get the health that you desperately need to keep fighting everything else. In fact, I would even argue there isn't just a strategy for fighting the bigger monsters, there's a strategy for the weaker enemies too, because they're going to be your main source of health. So you have to make sure that you just lightly graze them with your shots, so that way you can weaken them but not kill them. Otherwise, you'll be without that desperately needed health. This means that just running in there blasting everything away is no longer mindless fun, it's a quick way to screw yourself over. Again, this sounds like so much to focus on, but when you finally figure it out, when you get in the right headspace, when you get all the extra abilities you need and unlock just the right upgrades for your particular playstyle, you realize how brilliant this is. You will find yourself constantly sweating bullets and on the edge of your seat, but doesn't feel broken. It feels like this game was painstakingly tested to get you to this exact level of tension at all times. And I stress, you will be at high tension at all times, especially towards the end of the game, where they might as well just have invented a demon that was a flying kitchen sink, because they're going to start sending everyone at you. You wanna know how bad it got? The final boss of the game, when I finally beat them, I thought I was going to pass out or have a heart attack because I had been firing on all cylinders for over an hour, just jumping between full health and near death over and over and over again. And yes, I know saying that fighting the final boss of this game is akin to a near-death experience is not going to be a great selling point for everyone out there, but that's exactly the kind of game they wanted to make. And as you play it, you realize, yeah, that's kind of the game it should be. However, if I'm being totally honest, it doesn't always work perfectly. For example, this one enemy in the game, the Marauder, yeah, screw this guy. Every other demon in here fights like a big monster to be blown away. This guy comes out of an anime fighting game with an impenetrable defense, blazing speed, and assist that he can summon in for double trouble. I'm sure on the PC when you can precisely aim with a mouse, he's great, but trying to catch him on a console using a controller in his half-second opening after he does a cross-screen teleport dodge is like trying to play this game as Octodad. And anytime that you go into a room and you see buff totem pop up, time to panic. This means that a special item has popped up on the map that makes enemies faster and stronger and spawn infinitely. And when that happens, this goes from brilliantly paced out action to sheer uncontrollable chaos. When this happens, you have to search the map for a hidden totem and destroy it, and you know what's next to impossible to do when an infinite number of supercharged speedy demons are rolling down on you? Search a map for a hidden totem. But aside from these specific examples, the game is actually a hectic wildfire of a masterpiece. But here's the craziest part of all this. The last Doom was broken into two parts, the combat and the exploration. And at the end of the game, the combat was hands down the best quality. But here, they went nuts with the exploration, and I have to be honest with you, at first it was jarring to have a Doom game that had more platforming in it than a Mario game. But as I got into it, I actually began to love it. It became one of my favorite qualities of this. Just like with the combat, yeah, if you're good at it, it might look like you're just jumping and running and dashing, but everything in here is placed in the exact perfect spot, so you have to actually stop and think about where you're going next and when to move. Making a perfectly timed jump sometimes felt just as good as pulling off an over-the-top glory kill. The platforming and exploration in this game is no longer just something that breaks up all the demon punching, it's actually a feature worth promoting. Although, again, just like with the combat, there are a handful of spots where the platforming sort of falls apart. Anytime that you have to go underwater is a nightmare. It doesn't happen often, but each time that you have to go for a swim, it feels like the worst thought out part of the game. You have to explore to solve puzzles underwater, and most of the puzzles in this game are great. They're the perfect level of head scratching. But the under the water puzzles give you just enough air to look around, say, nope, not over there, then swim right back up. It's like trying to do calculus while you bob for apples. Also, anytime you see purple on the ground, just don't. Just don't even mess with that. Just jump as far over it as you possibly can. There is a reason nobody likes the purple stuff. I just said the exploration and the traversing feels amazing. The purple stuff makes you move slow and keeps you from jumping. Walking through the purple stuff felt like the video game equivalent of being stuck in a dentist waiting room. Even if it's just for 30 seconds, it feels like an irritating eternity. But as you'll notice, I didn't just say the platforming and traversing was good, I specifically said the exploration was good. Because this game doesn't just have secrets, it's got a mountain of secrets. There are ancient documents to find with the backstory of this game. There are albums with more details put into their covers than most games have in their entire aesthetic. There's multiple types of upgrades that provide you with rich varieties of ways to change your game around. And my personal favorite, there are toys for each of your enemies. And they actually look really good. Like, I would actually buy these if they were real, kind of good. Bethesda, make these figures so I can give you my money. Why is this the one thing you're not being greedy and money crazed about? And what's great is that finding these secrets is the perfect level of difficult. You can see them on the map, you have to stop and think about it, but rarely did I ever say, got me, I give up. Most of the times, I could figure it out, and I ended up finding most of these secrets just casually on my first playthrough. And yes, you can go back and replay chapters and get any of the items you missed, but you might be thinking to yourself, okay, that's nice, but do I really want to just do the same thing over again? I mean, I already beat it once. Do I want to go through it all just to get a few secrets I missed? Alright, that's all you want? Fine. How about a little incentive? What if I told you you could also unlock cheat codes that you could activate as you replay each level? Cheat codes like infinite ammo, quadruple damage, party effects that make your enemies explode into confetti. There's one that just has a live crowd cheering you on the entire time. These are amazing add-ons, and it made a game that was already loaded with replayability something that I would return to even if I didn't have anything left to find. And speaking of exploring and reasons to return to the game, can we talk about how good this game looks? This thing is beautiful! Okay, beautiful is a subjective term, I'll admit, but these maps look great. There's so many details in the background, like seeing a huge beast just lumbering around that in any other game would be so huge it would be the central focus of the entire level, but here, it's just a small detail in the background. There are stunning set pieces that make you just go, wow, when you walk into a room. Smart layouts that subtly use the color green to let you know where you should be going next, and such small details everywhere, from the comical audio recordings to the fact that every monster in the game can take battle damage when you shoot them. Again, in retrospect, maybe beautiful wasn't exactly the right word to use, so let's go with detailed. So detailed. So in the end, Doom Eternal, yes, the story might take itself a little too seriously and not know how to introduce itself so well, and there are a few problems here and there even within the positives, but those positives are astounding. Yes, it plays differently from the last game, being more strategic while also being faster and more intense, but it still captures the spirit of what made the gameplay so good last time, while at the same time ramping up the platforming and exploring and secrets to a completely different level. I know this was made by id Software, but they still work with Bethesda. So I have to say, it stuns me how Bethesda managed to not Bethesda the whole thing up. Okay, so maybe there's a few dabs of Bethesda in here.
But all in all, despite a few bumps along the way, there is so much good in this game, and that is why we have to give this game a... Huh? What's that? Multiplayer mode? What multiplayer mode? There wasn't a multiplayer mode in this game.
Oh! Hey, look at that. There's also a multiplayer mode. Okay, sure, we can talk about. 3 players enter, 1 player is the Slayer, 2 players as demons, and then you duke it out. The arenas are small, but still provide enough space to hide. If one demon dies, then they can come back after some time, and the Slayer has to kill both of them before they can come back to win. And the field is surrounded with respawning demons that can give the Slayer ammo and health, but they can also attack him as well. It's not bad, actually. Decent amount of customization, had a fun enough time, so... yeah. Okay, listen, this mode is an afterthought and it wasn't necessary, but I'll admit, I've seen lots of games in my time add unnecessary multiplayer modes. I lived through the mid-2000s when that stuff was everywhere. And this is not bad, actually. It actually has thought put into it. I could actually see myself playing this on its own. Not if it was $60, but it's not. The main Doom game doesn't feel like it had anything ripped out of it or like it was lacking and cheap for a full price game, so that way they could shove this unnecessary multiplayer mode in there. No, not at all. Doom Eternal's campaign is worth the price of admission on its own. So this is just a perfectly fine add-on that doesn't take anything away from the main game, and if you enjoy it, then cool. It's kind of exactly what an unnecessary multiplayer mode add-on should be. That's a sentence I never thought I would say.
We all good now? We covered everything? There isn't like a fighting game version of this, or a battle royale mode, or a mobile phone addition to the game that we have to talk about? No? Alright, cool. So despite a few bumps along the way, there's still so much good in this game, and that is why we have to give Doom Eternal a 9 out of 10.
Thanks for tuning in today for our review of Doom Eternal. If you like this video, then make sure that you share it around the web. It is the best way to help our channel grow. And we've got tons of other reviews coming up soon because we have now hit the video game apocalypse of 2020, where everything is coming out at the exact same time. So if you want to see us talking about Persona 5 Royale, or talking about Resident Evil 3, or Final Fantasy 7, or some other game with a very large number in it, then make sure that you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so that way YouTube knows that you actually want to subscribe and see videos from us. You can also follow us around the internet on Twitter at Thorgi's Arcade or on Twitch at Professor Thorgi. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time.